Breaking news that could change the financial landscape for millions of Americans overnight. The House of Representatives has just voted in favor of a groundbreaking measure that will release a staggering $6,600 in new Social Security payments for qualifying beneficiaries starting as early as tomorrow. Could you be one of the lucky Americans waking up to thousands of extra dollars in your bank account? Are you part of the group that qualifies for these higher benefits, many of which people don't even realize they're eligible for? The House has officially passed a pivotal measure that authorizes the Social Security Administration to distribute a new round of payments totaling up to $6,600 for certain qualifying recipients. This monumental development comes after months of intense debate about the adequacy of Social Security benefits amid soaring inflation and growing concerns about the financial security of retirees and disabled Americans. The vote, which passed with surprising bipartisan support, reflects a growing recognition among lawmakers that immediate action is needed to address the financial challenges facing vulnerable Social Security recipients. According to reports, the Social Security Administration is now working around the clock to issue these payments, with direct deposits set to start hitting bank accounts overnight and paper checks being mailed out in the coming days. This accelerated timeline is quite unusual for benefit changes of this magnitude, which typically take months to implement. It suggests the urgency with which officials are treating the current economic situation facing beneficiaries. But who exactly qualifies for these substantial $6,600 payments? This is where things get really interesting, and you need to pay close attention to see if you're in one of the groups that will receive this significant financial boost. The increased benefits are reportedly targeted at several specific categories of Social Security recipients rather than being applied universally. First on the list are long-term beneficiaries who have been receiving Social Security for at least 25 years. This group has been identified as particularly vulnerable to the cumulative effects of inflation over time, as their initial benefit calculations were based on wage levels from decades ago. Even with annual cost of living adjustments, studies show that long-term beneficiaries often experience a gradual but substantial erosion of their purchasing power. The new payment structure includes a special adjustment factor for these long-term recipients that could amount to the full $6,600 for those who have been in the system the longest. Another group set to benefit are those over the age of 85. Lawmakers recognize that Americans in their mid-80s and beyond often face exponentially higher healthcare costs and have typically exhausted more of their retirement savings. The enhanced payments for this age group are designed to provide additional financial security during these vulnerable later years, when unexpected medical expenses can be particularly devastating. For beneficiaries in this category, the payments are structured as quarterly installments of $1,650, totaling the full $6,600 over the course of a year. And it doesn't stop there. Recipients with qualifying disabilities who have been on Social Security Disability Insurance, SSDI, for more than 15 years are also reported to be among those receiving higher payments. This adjustment acknowledges the unique financial challenges faced by long-term disability recipients who often have limited opportunities to supplement their income and may face escalating medical and care expenses over time. For this group, payments will be distributed in monthly installments of $550, totaling $6,600 over a 12-month period. Low-income beneficiaries who receive both Social Security and Supplemental Security Income, SSI, are another group targeted for these substantial payments. This dual-eligible population represents some of the most financially vulnerable Americans, and the increased benefits are designed to help lift more of these individuals above the poverty line. For this group, the payment structure is front-loaded, with an initial payment of $2,200 followed by monthly supplements of $400 over the following 11 months. What about survivors of beneficiaries who recently passed away? Reports indicate that surviving spouses of Social Security recipients who died within the past 12 months may also qualify for a portion of these increased benefits. This provision recognizes the financial challenges that often accompany the loss of a spouse, particularly when that spouse was a primary breadwinner or when funeral and other end-of-life expenses have depleted savings. So, how will you know if you're receiving the increased amount? The Social Security Administration is reportedly sending electronic notices to affected beneficiaries, but these may not arrive before the payments themselves. The most reliable way to determine if you're receiving the higher benefit is to check your bank account or payment card tomorrow if you normally receive your benefits via direct deposit. Alternatively, you can check your online Social Security account through the agency's website, which should reflect any changes to your benefit amount. But what if you believe you should qualify for the higher payment, but don't see an increase? Reports indicate that the Social Security Administration has established a special dedicated portal on their website for beneficiaries to check their eligibility and payment status for the enhanced payments. However, due to the anticipated high volume of inquiries, officials are encouraging people to use the online tools rather than calling local offices, which are expected to experience extremely high call volumes in the coming days. It's important to note that these benefit increases are separate from the annual cost of living adjustment, COLA, that typically takes effect in January. The COLA for next year is still being calculated based on inflation data and will be announced in October. These new $6,600 payments represent an additional adjustment specifically targeted at the most vulnerable beneficiary groups rather than a replacement for the regular COLA. Political factors may have also played a role in the timing of this vote. With approval ratings for Congress at historically low levels, support for Social Security beneficiaries represents a rare opportunity for bipartisan cooperation that polls well with voters across the political spectrum. The measure reportedly gained support from both progressive representatives concerned about senior poverty and conservative members representing districts with high concentrations of retirees. But how will these substantial payments be funded? According to reports, the measure includes provisions to offset the cost through a combination of administrative savings within the Social Security Administration and temporary adjustments to the earnings cap for Social Security taxes. The specifics of these funding mechanisms will be implemented gradually over the coming years to ensure they don't create undue economic disruption while maintaining the solvency of the program. Critics of the measure have raised concerns about making benefit changes outside the regular COLA process, suggesting it could set a precedent for political interference in what has traditionally been a formula-driven benefit adjustment system. However, supporters argue that the targeted nature of these increases, focusing on specific vulnerable populations rather than across-the-board hikes, represents a responsible approach to addressing inequities in the current system without undermining its overall structure. So, what should you do if you are among those receiving these higher benefits? Financial advisors suggest taking this opportunity to review your overall financial situation. While the temptation may be to use the additional funds for immediate needs or wants, consider whether a portion of the increase could be set aside for emergency savings or anticipated medical expenses. Even a modest emergency fund can provide valuable peace of mind and financial flexibility, especially for those living primarily on fixed incomes. For those who don't qualify for the increased payments in this round, there may still be other ways to maximize your Social Security benefits. Reviewing your earnings record for accuracy, exploring eligibility for auxiliary benefits like spousal or survivor benefits, and considering the optimal timing for claiming benefits can all potentially increase your payment amounts. Additionally, various state and local assistance programs may be available to help supplement federal benefits for those facing financial hardship. Is this the beginning of a larger reform of the Social Security system? While the current measure is limited in scope, focusing on immediate benefit adjustments rather than structural changes, it could signal an increased willingness in Congress to tackle Social Security issues. The broader challenges facing the system, including long-term funding concerns, as the ratio of workers to retirees continues to decline, remain unaddressed by this measure. However, the bipartisan support for these targeted benefit increases might indicate potential for future cooperation on more comprehensive reforms. As beneficiaries begin receiving these increased payments tomorrow, the immediate impact will be felt in millions of households across the country. For many, the additional funds will help ease the financial strain of rising prices and provide a welcome buffer against economic uncertainty. The longer-term implications for Social Security policy and politics will continue to unfold in the coming months and years. Remember, the Social Security Administration is the authoritative source for information about your specific benefits. If you have questions about your eligibility for these increased payments or any other aspects of your Social Security benefits, check your online account or contact the agency directly. Be especially wary of unsolicited calls or emails claiming to be from Social Security, as scammers often try to exploit benefit changes to trick people into revealing personal information or making payments.